do you have any second thoughts about pulling all ground troops out of Iraq, and does it give you pause as the U.S. Is doing the same thing in Afghanistan?
Yeah, you know what I just find interesting is the degree to which this issue keeps on coming up, as if this was my decision.
I could play that all day. Joining us now is Jennifer Rubin, columnist and author of the Right Turn blog at the Washington Post. Hello, Jennifer.
Hi, how you doing, Steve?
I'm doing well. You know, I'm glad that you are as incredulous in printed word as I have been all day today about Obama, actually all weekend, ever since I heard this ridiculous remark. Guess what? He didn't end the war in Iraq. After he told us time and time again, he ended the war in Iraq.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, this is really almost unbelievable, even for him. I mean, he's made up stuff on Obamacare. He's misled the public on a whole variety of policy issues. But this is kind of in a class by itself. This is really kind of disassociating. He, of course, in 2008 ran on the pledge he would get all the troops out of Iraq. When he pulled all the troops out of Iraq, he bragged about getting all the troops out of Iraq. After he did that, he bragged in State of the Union addresses that he would and had get all the troops out, which he did. He's been running on this 2008 and again 2012 in the debates with Mitt Romney, and now suddenly somebody else decided to do this? I mean, who else? Who else is commander-in-chief? Is there somebody else running around who made this decision?
Well, he actually now credits, quote-unquote, or blames the previous administration.
Yes, I think it's my favorite one. You know, and Hillary has kind of pulled this, and this just fries, of course, the Bush administration. They knew that there would need to be what they call a stay-behind force. And Hillary knew, too. That's why she was negotiating one after they left. This was always envisioned, and no one in the Bush administration thought that we would have a zero-troop option. Hillary couldn't or wouldn't or was told not to make a deal to leave troops there. Of course, her boss didn't want troops there, so naturally she didn't make a deal to leave troops there. What a coincidence. Hillary uses the excuse that she could not get an immunity agreement for our troops to remain there. In other words, that they wouldn't be prosecuted for, say, murder or assault or other crimes in doing their duties. This is bizarre and wrong-headed for two reasons. One, the Maliki government told us that such an agreement was possible if it came from the government itself, not from Parliament.
And we insisted that in unprecedented fashion that they take this proposal to the Parliament, which they knew would be a non-starter. That wouldn't say we, that's Hillary and Obama, and that's why we have no SOFA.
Correct. And by the way, when we decided few weeks ago that we needed about 800 advisors to go back in, what did we do? We got the representation from the Maliki government that we would have immunity for those people who went back in. Oh, wow, look at that. So this is just, you know, really sort of mind-boggling stuff. And in my view, Steve, I think this ranks up there with you can keep your doctor. It really is. It's such a lie. It is such a misuse of the office to treat us as if we're idiots and we haven't been paying attention for the last 6 or 7 years, including his years of campaigning.
And every time you hear one of his surrogates or anybody from the White House, you know, they'll say he ended 2 wars. So the whole thing is, it is incredible. And except for you writing about it and me talking about it today, I really haven't seen it anywhere in the media. But I mean, I haven't watched all media. Let's move on. And another piece that you wrote, Clinton disowns Obama-Clinton foreign policy. All of a sudden, Hillary, she wrote about this in her book. She touched on it, but she gave another interview recently, and she's talking about how inaction in Syria resulted in what we're now seeing with ISIS in Iraq. And the Obama White House fired back today and said she was signed on to this completely in agreement. So she's just, again, now she's trying to separate herself because we see all hell breaking loose?
That could be it, you think? Yeah. You know, Hillary is, and opportunism go together like ham and eggs. I mean, they are inseparable. And she never, of course, spoke out publicly before this time. She had over a year after she left the White House. She never, say, quit over this issue. Other officials, including our ambassador to Syria, had the nerve to do so because he felt that we were really perpetrating such a ludicrous and dangerous policy. When did she finally become, the great clarion call for the rise of ISIS? And by the way, wasn't she one of the cheerleaders that was saying Al-Qaeda, the jihadists, are on their heels after we assassinated Osama bin Laden? Where were the warnings that this was all a bunch of bull? Where was she out saying, we better not cut defense, we better not dismember our NSA program because there's a lot of problems going on in the Middle East? I don't remember that when she was in office, and I don't remember that until this book tour, and frankly, until after the first book tour that went so poorly. That's how recent is her new decision to become a hawk.
Absolutely right. I do want to touch on Rand Paul, which the title of your piece here, Rand Paul caught in Obama quicksand. I had Ron Paul on in the previous hour, and in addition to saying that Hamas is not like ISIS and Al-Qaeda, which, blows my mind, he also said that he thinks his son is going to run. He says he's acting like a candidate, and he thinks he's going to run. He even advised me if I go bet in Vegas, I would win. But what his father said about foreign policy, I'm not saying he'll say the same thing, Rand, about Hamas, but there is kind of a similarity between the two.
There is. Now, granted, he has not said all the crackpot things his father has said, but he is beginning to get himself tripped up. And this is because I think the basic premise of his campaign is wrong, is misguided. What he is trying to do is put together his father's coalition of hardcore libertarians with a broader-based Christian evangelical base of support in the GOP. Those two things do not mix because one group, the first group, for example, doesn't want any foreign aid, including aid to Israel. The second group loves Israel. They not only want aid and military assistance, but a much more active foreign policy. You either believe that America should be leading in the world and that there is evil out there and that we have to stick by our friends and assert American power, or you don't.
Right. There's no
both ways.
No middle ground, and he might find that out. You're right. Jennifer, great talking to you. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Bye-bye. Columnist and author of the Right Turn blog at the Washington Post. Go check it out at WashingtonPost.com, and she writes like 4 or 5 blogs a day. So if you logged on before and you think you got them all, log on again later. You'll get more. We'll be back with more of the Steve Malzberg Show after the break. But first, stay tuned for your Newsmax Now update.